Welcome to Gone Legends. Today, we pause to remember and pay tribute to remarkable American icons whose light has dimmed. Each one left behind a legacy of laughter, warmth, and unforgettable performances that continue to echo in our hearts. If you find value in honoring these lives, please like this video, subscribe to Gone Legends, and share it with others who cherish their memories. And we'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Drop us a comment below. Your connection makes this tribute even more meaningful. On this solemn anniversary of September 4th, we turn to remember the voice of a generation, Steve Harwell, the charismatic frontman of the American rock band Smash Mouth. His unmistakable sound and larger-than-life personality helped create some of the most memorable anthems of the late 1990s and early 2000s, songs that still echo today at parties, in films, and in the hearts of fans worldwide. Steve Harwell's life was one of passion, triumph, challenges, and, ultimately, a heartbreaking farewell that came far too soon. Early life and dreams of music. Steve Harwell was born on January 9, 1967, in Santa Clara, California. From an early age, Steve was drawn to music, though his first passion was actually rap. In the late 1980s, he was part of a rap group called FOS, Freedom of Speech, performing in the Bay Area's underground music scene. Though the rap career didn't take off in a big way, Steve's love for performing never faded. By the early 1990s, he shifted his focus toward rock and alternative music, a decision that would eventually change his life and cement his place in music history. The formation of Smash Mouth. In 1994, Steve Harwell co-founded Smash Mouth alongside Greg Camp, Kevin Coleman, and Paul Delisle. The band quickly developed a sound that blended pop, ska, surf rock, and punk energy. Their style was upbeat, infectious, and tailor-made for radio. The band signed with Interscope Records, and in 1997, their debut album Fush You Mang was released. It included the breakout hit, Walkin' on the Sun, which catapulted the group into fame. With Harwell's distinctive voice leading the way, Smash Mouth quickly became one of the most recognizable bands of the era. Peak of fame, the All-Star era. The band's second album, Astro Lounge, 1999, solidified their place in pop culture history. With hits like All-Star and their cover of the Monkees' I'm a Believer, Smash Mouth became a household name. All-Star, in particular, became a cultural phenomenon. It wasn't just a hit single, it became the anthem of a generation, appearing in commercials, sports arenas, and most famously, in the 2001 animated film Shrek. The song's upbeat message and catchy chorus made it timeless, and to this day, it remains one of the most recognizable rock songs of the late 20th century. Steve Harwell's powerful, raspy voice was at the center of it all. His vocal style gave Smash Mouth its signature sound, one that was playful, defiant, and fun. His stage presence was equally commanding. He was a frontman who knew how to engage a crowd and create energy wherever he performed. Challenges behind the scenes. While Smash Mouth's music brought joy to millions, Steve Harwell's personal life was often marked by struggles. He battled health issues for years, including problems with his heart and liver. In 2001, tragedy struck when his infant son Presley died of leukemia. The loss was devastating for Steve, and though he rarely spoke about it in public, it shaped much of his later life. Steve also faced challenges with substance abuse, which affected his health and performances in later years. Despite these struggles, he continued to tour with Smash Mouth, determined to keep bringing music to fans around the world. Retirement from music. In 2021, Steve Harwell officially retired from performing after a difficult concert in upstate New York where health complications became visible. His decision to step away was heartbreaking for fans, but it was also clear that he needed to focus on his well-being. By this point, Steve's health issues, particularly with his liver, had become severe. His bandmates continued to perform under the name Smash Mouth, but the absence of Steve Harwell's voice left a void that could never truly be filled. The final days. On September 3, 2023, reports emerged that Steve Harwell had entered hospice care at his home in Boise, Idaho. He was in the final stages of liver failure, surrounded by family and close friends. On September 4, 2023, Steve Harwell passed away at the age of 56. The official cause of death was liver failure, the result of years of health struggles. His manager, Robert Hayes, described him as a true American original and said that his legacy would live on through his music. Funeral and burial. Steve Harwell's funeral arrangements were kept private, in accordance with his family's wishes. He was remembered in intimate ceremonies by those who loved him most. Although the details of his burial have not been widely publicized, fans around the world created their own tributes, playing his songs, sharing memories, and flooding social media with gratitude for the joy his music had brought them. Steve Harwell's passing was a shock to fans, but his legacy remains vibrant. Songs like All Star and Walkin' on the Sun continue to inspire joy, laughter, and nostalgia. His music has been woven into the cultural fabric of the United States, from movie soundtracks to internet memes, from sports stadiums to karaoke nights. What made Steve so beloved was not just his music, but the sense of fun he embodied. He encouraged people to let loose, to laugh, and to enjoy life. Even in his struggles, Steve's performances radiated energy and passion. Every year on September 4th, fans remember Steve Harwell. They play his songs, they post his videos, and they recall the voice that defined so many moments of their youth. His anniversary is not only a time of mourning, it's a celebration of music that will never fade. Steve Harwell gave us more than music, he gave us memories. He gave us the soundtrack to our youth, the songs we sang with friends, the anthems that made us feel unstoppable. On this anniversary of his passing, we honor not just the man, but the joy he shared with the world. His voice may have been silenced, but his songs will live forever. On this day, September 4th, we remember the warm smile, the cheerful voice, and the boundless spirit of Willard Scott, a man who brought sunshine to millions of American households for decades. Known as the longtime weatherman of NBC's Today Show, Willard Scott wasn't just a broadcaster, he was a beloved national treasure, a figure who felt like family to anyone who turned on their television in the morning. Early life and humble beginnings. Willard Herman Scott Jr. was born on March 7, 1934, in Alexandria, Virginia. From an early age, Willard displayed a natural charisma. He loved to perform, he loved people, and he loved making others smile. He attended George Washington High School and later studied philosophy and religion at American University in Washington, D.C. While at American University, Willard worked at the campus radio station, discovering a passion for broadcasting. His rich, friendly voice and his natural ability to connect with audiences made him stand out right away. He wasn't just reading the weather or the news, he was engaging, personable, and funny. The early career, from radio to television. In the 1950s, Willard began working at NBC's Washington, D.C. radio affiliate WRC, where he teamed up with fellow broadcaster Ed Walker. Together, they hosted a variety show called The Joy Boys, which ran from 1955 to 1974. The program was immensely popular, known for its humor, improvisation, and sketches. But Willard's career was never about chasing fame. It was about connecting with people and spreading joy. In the 1960s, he transitioned from radio to television, becoming a weather presenter at WRC-TV in Washington, D.C. His style was different from anyone else in the field, less focused on the technicalities and more on storytelling and personality. People tuned in not just to learn about the weather, but to see Willard, Ronald McDonald, and Bozo the Clown. Long before Willard Scott became a household name for his weather forecasts, he played a unique role in American popular culture. He portrayed Bozo the Clown on local television in Washington, D.C. during the 1960s. His warm, clownish humor was a hit with children. But perhaps even more famously, Willard was the original Ronald McDonald in 1963, when McDonald's introduced the now iconic character in television commercials. His portrayal of Ronald McDonald helped kickstart a brand image that became globally recognized. The Today Show years. Willard Scott's true rise to national fame came in 1980, when NBC selected him as the new weatherman on the Today Show. Over the next 3 decades, Willard became a fixture in American living rooms, charming audiences with his humor, warmth, and unpredictability. What set him apart wasn't just his weather reports, it was the way he connected with people. Willard would dress in costumes, perform funny skits, and bring an infectious joy to the screen. He wasn't afraid to be silly, to laugh at himself, and to make his viewers feel like they were part of the fun. Perhaps his most famous tradition was celebrating centenarians, people turning 100 or older. Beginning in the early 1980s, Willard began featuring photos of centenarians on Today, offering them birthday wishes live on air. It became one of the most beloved traditions of the show and cemented his reputation as someone who truly cared about ordinary people. Awards and recognition. Throughout his career, Willard Scott received numerous honors. In 1985, he was named America's Favorite Weathercaster by the National Weather Association. He also received the Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Special Class Program for his contributions to The Today Show. Beyond professional accolades, his true reward was the affection of the American public. Generations of viewers grew up watching him, and many felt as though he was part of their family morning routine. His personal life. Willard Scott married Mary Dwyer in 1959, and the couple had 2 daughters, Mary and Sally. Mary Dwyer Scott sadly passed away in 2002. Later, Willard found love again and married Paris Kina in 2014. Outside of broadcasting, Willard was deeply involved in charity work and community service. He was known for his generosity, kindness, and the way he made time for everyone, whether a celebrity guest or an everyday fan. The final years. Willard Scott retired from the Today Show in 2015 after 35 years as the nation's favorite weatherman. Even after stepping away from television, he remained a beloved public figure. He spent his later years quietly, surrounded by family and loved ones. On September 4, 2021, Willard Scott passed away peacefully in Delaplane, Virginia, at the age of 87. His death was widely mourned across the country. Colleagues like Al Roker and Savannah Guthrie remembered him with love and admiration, describing him as a mentor, a friend, and a true original. The cause of death was attributed to natural causes. Willard Scott was laid to rest in Virginia, close to the place where he had lived much of his life. His funeral was a private ceremony attended by family and close friends, reflecting his humble and grounded nature. Though the service was intimate, the outpouring of love and remembrance from the public was enormous. Across social media, tributes poured in from fans who remembered waking up to his cheerful presence for years. Willard Scott's legacy is one of warmth, kindness, and joy. He was not a celebrity who built walls around himself. He was someone who brought people in. He made viewers laugh, he celebrated the milestones of everyday Americans, and he never lost sight of the human connection that made broadcasting special. Every year on September 4th, fans and broadcasters alike remember Willard Scott. His anniversary is not just a date on the calendar, it's a reminder of how one man's joy could brighten a nation's mornings. Willard Scott didn't just give us the forecast, he gave us sunshine on the cloudiest of days. He made us laugh, he made us smile, and he reminded us that television could be about heart as much as headlines. On this anniversary of his passing, we remember a man who made the world a little brighter every single day. Today, we begin our remembrance with the legendary Joan Rivers, a woman whose name became synonymous with sharp wit, fearless comedy, and a trailblazing spirit that redefined what it meant to be a female entertainer in America. Her story is one of resilience, brilliance, and ultimately, a bittersweet farewell that the world still feels deeply on this anniversary of her passing. Early life and roots. Joan Alexandra Malinsky, known to the world as Joan Rivers, was born on June 8, 1933, in Brooklyn, New York, to Russian Jewish immigrant parents. She grew up in Brooklyn and later in Larchmont, New York, where her family moved in search of a better life. Joan was raised in a traditional household, but even as a young girl, she showed a spark of individuality. She had a quick sense of humor, loved to perform, and used comedy as a way of navigating the challenges of growing up in a working-class immigrant family. Joan graduated from Barnard College in 1954 with a degree in English literature and anthropology. Though her academic path seemed steady, her heart was elsewhere. She wanted to perform, to tell stories, to make people laugh. But at that time, comedy was not a common career choice for women, and many doors were firmly shut to her. That didn't stop Joan. Instead, it gave her the drive to break barriers. Breaking into comedy. Joan Rivers began her entertainment career in the late 1950s and early 1960s, working in small clubs in New York City. She hustled, struggled, and fought for every stage time she could get. For years, she performed in obscure venues where women comedians were rarely taken seriously. Her big break came when she appeared on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson in 1965. Carson was famously selective about who he invited, and he was so impressed by Joan's wit that he told viewers, "You're going to be a star." That moment changed her life forever. She became a frequent guest on Carson's show and soon developed a national following. Joan's humor was biting, self-deprecating, and refreshingly honest. She wasn't afraid to joke about taboo subjects like aging, beauty standards, or women's roles in society. In an era when female comedians were almost invisible, Joan turned herself into an unstoppable force. Career highlights. Over the decades, Joan Rivers built a career that spanned stand-up comedy, television hosting, writing, acting, and fashion commentary. She was the very definition of multi-talented. In the 1980s, she became the permanent guest host of The Tonight Show, making her the first woman to ever hold that role. In 1986, she made history again by becoming the first woman to host a late-night network talk show with The Late Show starring Joan Rivers on Fox. She appeared in films on Broadway and authored several books, many of which became bestsellers. Later in life, she reinvented herself as a sharp-tongued fashion critic on E!'s Fashion Police, where her fearless, often controversial commentary made her a beloved and sometimes polarizing figure. Joan never stopped working. Even in her 80s, she was touring, performing stand-up, writing, and hosting. Her energy seemed endless, and her determination to stay relevant in an ever-changing industry was unparalleled. What she was famous for. Joan Rivers was most famous for her unapologetic comedy style, direct, biting, and fearless. She often joked about herself, but she wasn't afraid to aim her humor at others, from Hollywood elites to political figures. Her boldness opened the door for countless female comedians who came after her. From Kathy Griffin to Amy Schumer, many credit Joan as the woman who paved the way. She proved that women could be just as outrageous, edgy, and commanding in comedy as men. But beyond her jokes, Joan was also admired for her resilience. She endured immense personal and professional struggles, including the suicide of her husband Edgar Rosenberg in 1987, which left her devastated both emotionally and financially. Still, she rebuilt her life and career, proving that laughter can truly be a form of survival. The final days. On August 28, 2014, Joan Rivers went into Yorkville Endoscopy, an outpatient clinic in Manhattan, for what was supposed to be a routine throat procedure. During the procedure, she stopped breathing and went into cardiac arrest. She was rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital and placed on life support. For several days, the world held its breath as updates about her condition were shared. Fans, colleagues, and celebrities expressed their love and prayers, hoping for a miracle. But sadly, Joan never regained consciousness. On September 4, 2014, Joan Rivers passed away in New York City at the age of 81. The cause of death was ruled as brain damage due to lack of oxygen during the procedure. Her funeral and burial. Joan Rivers' funeral was held at Temple Emmanuel, a landmark synagogue in Manhattan. It was a star-studded farewell, attended by some of the biggest names in entertainment, including Howard Stern, Hugh Jackman, and Whoopi Goldberg. True to her larger-than-life personality, Joan had left specific instructions for her funeral in her book. She wanted it to be a glamorous event, filled with music, laughter, and even paparazzi. And in many ways, it was exactly that, a celebration of her bold, unapologetic life. Joan was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Los Angeles, California. The death of Joan Rivers was felt around the world. Fans mourned not only the loss of a comedian but the loss of a cultural icon who had given so much of herself to her audience. Her legacy lives on in her countless stand-up specials, books, television appearances, and above all, in the path she cleared for women in comedy. To this day, comedians cite her as an inspiration, someone who proved that you could be funny, fierce, and unstoppable, no matter your gender. Every year on September 4th, fans and loved ones remember Joan Rivers. It is not just the anniversary of her death, it is a reminder of the joy, laughter, and boldness she brought to the world. Joan Rivers taught us to laugh at ourselves, to challenge the status quo, and to embrace life with fearlessness. On this anniversary of her passing, we remember her not just as a comedian, but as a pioneer, a survivor, and a legend who never stopped making us smile. Her voice may be gone, but her laughter will echo forever. Today, on September 4th, we remembered 3 extraordinary American stars, Joan Rivers, Willard Scott, and Steve Harwell. Each one came from different worlds of entertainment, comedy, broadcasting, and music, but all of them touched our hearts in ways words can barely describe. Joan made us laugh when we needed it most. Willard warmed our mornings with kindness and cheer. And Steve gave us anthems that will echo across generations. Though they are no longer with us, their voices, their spirit, and their legacies remain. That is the gift of true legends. They never really leave us. They live on in our memories, in our laughter, and in the songs and smiles they gave to the world. As we close today's tribute, let us carry forward the light they shared. Let us honor their anniversaries not only with sorrow, but with gratitude for the joy, laughter, and music they gave us. If this tribute touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to Gone Legends, and share it with others who keep these memories alive. And let us know in the comments, where are you watching from, and which memory of Joan, Willard, or Steve stays with you most. Until next time, may we continue to celebrate the lives of those who shaped our world and left us with legacies that shine forever.